and will say whether did you change the taste. Either you drink something palatable in a golden pot or iron pot or paper pot, the taste is the same. So this is pravritti marg, means advancing in sense gratification. So this is not advancement. Advancement is, as Krishna says, to solve the problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. That is advancement. So as Prabhupada is saying that trying to increase our standards of sense gratification, that is not advancement, because the taste is the same whether you do sense gratification as a human or an animal. And in the same lecture, Prabhupada says that if the human life is utilized for this purpose, like eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, just like animals, then it is just like using sandalwood for burning fuel. So, like there are different types of wood in the forest. There's jungle wood, which you can use for cooking. But if the sandalwood, which is so valuable, if we do not know what is the value of sandalwood, and if we use it for cooking and burning, then it is not very intelligent. So similarly, if we use this human life exactly like cats and dogs, simply for sense gratification, then it's like, as Srimad Bhagavatam says, we are committing suicide. Um, this verse 23, 20. Savanchito batatma druk krichrena mahata bhuvi labdva apavargayam manushyam vishyeshu visharjate. Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, and who, after obtaining a human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, undertakes the difficult tasks of fruitive activities, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. So human life is like that valuable sandalwood tree, or you can say $1,000 note or a $5,000 note. But if you burn that note to produce fire for little warmth, then you'll be considered a madman. So doing excessive struggle to get a better standard of life, a big house, car, better sense gratification, and wasting valuable time in material advancement is like committing suicide. We have another verse. Nardeham adyam sulubham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam maya nukulyena nabhasvitaritam puman bhavam badhim na taretsa atmaha. Human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the spiritual master as the captain, and the instructions of personality of Godhead as favorable winds, impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, the human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. Well, anyways, if you think about it, if you cannot take things that you have accumulated with you when you die. And if the human life is spent in just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then the future is also uncertain. What sort of body you will get? So here, Prabhupada says in a lecture, you can construct a very nice skyscraper building and you can have a very nice car, but you will not be allowed to stay here. What you have done for that? You will be kicked out at any moment. Then your all labor is simply waste. You can solace yourself that my children will enjoy or my grandsons will enjoy, but why not enjoy yourself? That is very uncertain. Any moment I shall be kicked out. And then, if it is a fact that I am going to accept another body, there is no guarantee what kind of body I am going to accept. I have constructed a skyscraper building on account of my attachment. I may be allowed by the nature's law to stay in that building, but if my activities are sinful, I become a rat or cat in that building, then what is the profit? So any sort of attachment is bad. to our home, family, like that. These attachments will cause us to take birth again, and sometimes as a Prabhupada is saying, sometimes as a rat or cat. So I was remembering this pastime we have heard before of Narad Muni and Kailash. There was a person called Kailash who was very attached to his home. One day Narad Muni came to him and said, Kailash, come with me. I am going to Vaikuntha. I will take you along with me. So Kailash replied, Sorry, sir. My children are young. I have to take care of them. Maybe later. So several years later, Narad Muni returned to him and asked, Kailash, are you ready now? Kailash replied, Sorry, sir, but now I have my grandsons to take care of. Also, everyone at home needs my guidance. I cannot come now. So when Narad Muni returned after many years, he came to know that Kailash had passed away. And while leaving, he noticed a dog barking loudly in the doorway. The dog said, Oh, Naradji, I am Kailash here. So surprised, Narad replied, Oh, Kailash, you have become a dog now? What are you doing here? Even now it's not too late. I can take you to the kingdom of God. Would you like to accompany me? So the dog replied, Sorry, sir. My sons are very careless with the wealth I acquired. I have therefore become a dog to protect that wealth from thieves. So feeling very sorry for the attached Kailash, Narad Muni went away. And after many years, when Narad returned, he learned that the dog had died. So, thinking sadly that Kailash must have gone to some unknown body, Narad departed. And when he was walking behind the house in the rice fields, there was a snake that was hissing. So the snake said, Narad, I am Kailash here. Narad asked him, What are you doing here in the snake body, Kailash? Don't you want to come with me now? Even now it's not too late. So the snake replied, Now I am happy that my sons have put all the money in a bank, but they are so lazy that they wake up late every morning. By that time, all the grains in the rice field are either destroyed by elephants or stolen by neighbors. I have therefore become a snake to go around the field and protect the grains. I am very busy. I am sorry. I can't come with you now. So, seeing the pitiable condition of Kailash, Narad Muni, he clapped his hands loudly and he called the sons of Kailash and showed them the large snake that was lying in their field. So immediately the sons started to hit the snake with their sticks, and Kailash, in his snake body, he hissed and tried to tell his sons, I am your father, why are you hitting me? But the more he hissed, the more his sons hit him, till finally he died. And while dying, the snake remembered Narad Muni, and in his next life he became a great devotee of Lord Krishna by Narad's grace. So it's a funny story, but that's the story of our life. We can see if we are attached to something in the material world, we will return back, and sometimes as a dog, snake, or rat. So, like Kailash, our general tendency is to postpone the spiritual progress until later because we think that it's not urgent and not important. So, I've heard this example from Vraj Vihari Prabhu in our temple. This example or this illustration is from Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There are these 4 quadrants. There is the first quadrant, which is something that is urgent and important. Second quadrant, not urgent but important. Third is not important but urgent. And fourth is not urgent and not important. So, for most people, spirituality falls in this fourth quadrant, not urgent and not important. So, first quadrant, urgent and important, these are things like immediate things that we need to do, paying bills, work, job assignments, day to day family engagements, deadline oriented tasks. And not urgent but important are things that we plan for the future, like investment, retirement, relationships. Just a second, let me mute. And the third quadrant here is urgent but not important. These are things like interruptions that come on a daily basis, phone calls, events that you are invited to, birthday parties, functions, gatherings, like that. So always something or the other comes in between us and Krishna, and we tend to put spirituality, postpone spirituality, make it not important, not urgent. So I saw this picture. It's for small children, but it makes the point. In whatever age we are, whatever situation in life, we are always busy doing something else. We are too young to think about God. Then we are too self sufficient to think about God. We are too busy to think about God. We are too tired to think about God. This guy is getting married, too much happy to think about God. And then it becomes too late to think about God. Because we think Krishna consciousness is not urgent, not important, that's why time is not spent on a daily basis to make progress in this area. There's always something or the other going on in life, and we think, I will read Srila Prabhupada books later. I will chant later. I will hear Krishna Katha later. But let me do this other activity first. Like we were hearing Amog Lila Prabhu was saying yesterday. He was saying that I will start, people, or the people, yeah, people say that I'll start chanting from tomorrow. I will start reading Srila Prabhupada's book tomorrow. Kal se karunga. Because the yuga that we are in is Kal Yuga. So everything will be done Kal, from tomorrow. But the tomorrow never comes. We postpone things until it's too late to think about God. So we have this song, Keno Hare Krishna Naam, Hari Bole, Mano Pran Kandena, Pakhire Tor Marana, Kale Te, Charbi Vashir Dolate, Ore Char Janete, Kandhe Kore, Loi Jabe Samshan Ghatate, Keno Hare Krishna Naam, Hari Bole, Mano Pran Kande Naam. So this song says, oh, why does my heart not weep from chanting the holy names of Krishna? Oh bird, and he's referring bird as the bird of my heart. O bird, at the time of death, your body will simply be placed upon a funeral stretcher, lifted on the shoulders of 4 persons and carried to the cremation grounds. Alas, the cremation fire will enter your mouth and then totally consume your tongue. There will be nothing you can do to save yourself, for at that time it's too late. You will be unable to speak anymore. So, we should consider our sadhana as urgent and important. So I was having a personal realization that when there is a Srimad Bhagavatam call, this Skype call or the other calls, and there is Krishna Katha going on, but if I am busy with something else, work, or I'm tired, I'm sleeping or feeling lazy to wake up and attend the call, this particular verse comes to my mind. निवृत्ततर्षेरुपगीयमानाद् भावौषधाश्चोत्र क उत्तम श्लोका गुणानुवादात् पुमान् virajyet vina pashugnath. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false, temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned souls undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? So I will think to myself that if I don't attend this katha or this call, then I am being like a butcher or I'm committing suicide. And just thinking about this, it gives me the energy and enthusiasm to go and hear Hari Katha first and then do other activities later. So we have heard this story before. An instructor who was training his students regarding priority. And this instructor, he asked his students to put rocks, pebbles, and sand in the jar. So these students, they saw that if they put the pebbles in the jar first and then there is no place for the rocks and the sand. But if they put the rocks first and then the pebbles and then the sand occupies the space between the rocks. Everything fits in well nicely in the jar. So the moral of the story is the rocks are the truly important things. If all else was lost and only the rocks remained, your life will still be successful. So these are the truly important things in life. But the pebbles are the other stuff that matters in your life, like work, school, studies, and sand is the remaining small stuff, material possessions. So Srimad Bhagavatam talks about that. एतवान् संख्या योगाभ्याम स्वधर्मो परिनिष्ठया जन्मलाभा परा पुंसाम ante narayana smriti, the highest perfection of life. So how can we say that our life is successful? This is the condition. Highest perfection of life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. And how can we remember the Supreme Lord at the end of life? Sometimes one may think that if the goal is to remember Krishna at the end of death, I might as well engage in all these material activities right now, and at the time of death, I'll focus on Krishna. I'll chant Krishna's name, like Ajamala did. So it is explained in Garuda Puran, at the time of death, the amount of pain that the living entity undergoes is compared to the pain of 10,000 scorpion bites. How then can one remember and chant the Mahamantra at the time of death? So Radhanath Swami was hearing in his lecture, he says, life is a preparation and death is an examination. Whatever we have consciously cultivated throughout our lives, those thoughts will preoccupy our consciousness at the time of death. When our body limbs, they are breaking away and we are seeing our near and dear ones being separated from us, the pain is intense. At the time of death, we have no choice of what we are going to think. As the soul is being ripped from the body, it becomes completely disoriented and you won't be able to soberly remember Krishna. Therefore, it is now that you can make a choice to attentively chant and remember Krishna every day, every moment. And that will leave an impression on our mind, and automatically our mind will think of that, of Krishna at the time of death. And Krishna also says in Varaha Puran that if my devotee is unable to remember me at the time of death because of disturbances felt in his body, then I shall remember my devotee and bring him back to my supreme abode. So that is when our life will be considered successful. When we are able to remember Krishna at the time of death, not how much material progress we make, how big our house is, or how well educated we are, how much we are awarded at work. These things are actually useless labor, hard labor for nothing. Famous verse, Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma swanusthita pumsam vishwaksena kathasu yaha notpadiyed yatiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. So I was reading an article by Radhanath Swami on the urgency of surrendering to Krishna. Would someone be able to read this? It's a short.
I can read.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada stressed the urgency to surrender to Krishna. Every line of his books, every sentence of his tapes, you would hear him urgently just pleading with you and me to take Krishna consciousness seriously. Death, tragedy can come at any moment. And the greatest tragedy is that our faith is stolen away by Maya and her various representatives, which can come in many forms. There is no comfortable position when we are secure in material existence. We are like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. Our life is compared to that. Our position in society, our health, our family members, our friends, everything in this world that exists is like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. It is going to fall, and we don't know when, and we don't know when. It often happens at the least expected moment. Srila Prabhupada used the example of the goats that are on the way to the slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse person is very expert at pacifying the goats so that they very happily and peacefully go to the chopping block by providing nice grass. The line of goats, they are just eating grass and they are enjoying, and the closer they get, the grass gets nicer and nicer. The goats in front of them are getting their heads cut off, but they don't see that. They just see the grass. Srila Prabhupada said that is how Maya is orchestrating the entire material existence. Don't be a foolish goat, just trying to be happy and enjoy the comforts of this world, the comforts of family life or a nice little floor in the Brahmachari ashram. We should know that any facility to enjoy in this material world is Maya's trick to somehow or other distract away from the urgent need to be Krishna conscious. Listen carefully to Srila Prabhupada's voice when you listen to his lectures. There is always that deep sense of trying to give us feeling of urgency. It has to be done now. We have to we have to take shelter of Krishna. We have to surrender to Krishna. We have to give up our own petty disagreements and work together because the world is being condemned by the direction of modern society. Srila Prabhupada's miracle was that he gave everybody the chance to become Krishna conscious. And those who heard his voice and somehow or other connected to that urgency within him, they became empowered. They were lazy hippies sleeping on the streets, never worked a day in their life. Then, by contact with Srila Prabhupada, they were out distributing books 15 hours a day, outside in the blizzard winters of the New York City. And the only reason why they came home is for Mangala Arati and to chant their rounds. They did this for years. In the American cities and airports where practically no one is favorable, they risked their lives, sometimes getting beaten up, blasphemed, but they were so enthusiastic. How did Srila Prabhupada transform these people? Because he gave them that sense of urgency to surrender to Krishna. If we are convinced of the urgency to take Srila Prabhupada's message to heart today, Srila Prabhupada will empower us to do incredible things. I remember when I was a pujari, I was very happy doing deity worship day and night, year after year, but I would always read Srila Prabhupada's books. Hear his tapes, hear about how Srila Prabhupada is so eager for us to preach. So I was praying to the deities, I am very grateful to worship you, but my Guru Maharaj keeps talking about preaching. Ultimately, I want to please him. I don't know what preaching is, but I want to please him, so whatever you think is best. And sometimes later I was given an order, we need more devotees in the temple. Go out and preach. I never asked. I never asked, and who was I? From New Vrindavan, I smelled like a cow because I would milk cows. I had one dhoti that had holes in it, and an old blanket from the World War II army that had holes in it. I was told to preach, very little education. I went to I went to one semester of a junior college, and here I was in university speaking to PhD candidates, professors, and they would be sitting in rapt attention, challenging and being defeated. And I was thinking, what's happening? Who is doing it? I am a fool, I don't know much. But if we somehow or other feel that urgency, Srila Prabhupada could do everything through any of us.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Krishna consciousness is super urgent activity because we don't know which day is our last day. Death can come at any time, today, tomorrow, in few days. And like Maharaj was giving the example of the goats, which are enjoying green grasses, not knowing that they are next to be slaughtered in the line. So we should not become complacent in our comfortable, happy life, eating green grass like the goats, unknown of what's coming. We know what exactly lies before us, our death, but we ignore it. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj says that what is the most amazing thing in this world? Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamalayam. Hundreds and thousands of living entities meet death at every moment, but a foolish living being nonetheless thinks himself deathless and does not prepare for death. This is the most wonderful thing in the world. And doing our sadhana, the devotional service, we should consider that as the most urgent and most important. And in our sadhana, the most priority item is chanting the holy name of the Lord. So we have this verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. तार मध्य सर्वश्रेष्ठ नाम संकीर्तन निरपराधे नाम लय पाया prema dhan. Of the 9 processes of devotional service, the most important is to always chant the holy name of the Lord. If one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, one very easily attains the love of Godhead. I have some japa affirmations by Mahatma Das Prabhu about the same concept that we are talking about. Um, can someone read? It is short.
Yes, Mataji, I can read.
Sure.
Srila Prabhupada wrote to Giriraj Swami, "Your beads are your connection to Krishna." Prabhupada also said 16 rounds is your ticket back to Godhead. On one occasion, he told Trivikrama Swami that chanting is the essence of our philosophy. And he told Hansadutta Prabhu that the purpose of reading his books is to bring us to the stage of pure chanting. Still, we sometimes forget how important chanting is. Obviously, japa is essentially important because it is the only activity we vow to do when we take initiation. We vow not to do 4 things and vow to do one thing. In Kali Yuga, chanting is the most important process in devotional service. So if we do not give priority to our chanting, then our spiritual life will suffer. One of the purposes of the japa retreats and japa workshops is to inspire devotees to give more importance to their japa. When we give more importance to our chanting naturally improves. Sometimes we see that devotees go to japa workshop, but in a few weeks the importance they give to the holy name diminishes. Even though they learn much, they can easily revert to their former ways of chanting if they do not make a japa priority. This is because what we give importance to is what we do well. If we do not give importance to our relationships, we probably won't have good relationships. If we don't give importance to earning money, we probably won't have much money. If we don't give importance to our health, we probably won't be in really good shape. And if we don't give importance to japa, our japa probably won't be very good. Mataji, can you scroll?
Yes. So the
If we
last line.
Oh, sorry, Mataji. If we give more importance to japa, it will naturally improve.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
the purpose of this affirmation is to remind us or make us aware that japa is the most important activity of our day. Of all the rules and regulation given to us, Srila Prabhupada said the chanting 16 rounds is the most essential, and all other processes are contained within our japa. Thus, japa is something we never want to minimize, something that must always be given the highest priority.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Another short one I'll read. I organize my life to make japa the most important activity of my day. If we don't consciously organize our life in a way that supports our japa, it is possible that aspects of our lifestyle may undermine good japa. For example, if we stay up late, we won't get up early, and rising late can negatively affect our japa. If we read a book or watch something not related to Krishna, this too could have a negative effect on our japa. If we allow ourselves to be so busy that we have little or no time for reading, puja, or service, our chanting will tend to be more mechanical than heartfelt. And if we are critical of devotees, this will definitely be harmful to our Krishna consciousness. There are also things we can do that will enhance our japa. For example, giving the holy name to others, preaching and distributing books, and or performing additional austerity or service empowers our chanting. For those who work, if we are engaged in service in our spare time, rather than using our free time for activities not related to Krishna, this will also help our chanting. And if we use our time to study the theology of the holy name, or read books and or listen to the lectures about improving japa, This will help us by keeping us focused on the need to chant well. The idea of this affirmation is to look at our life and consider whether we are doing anything which is undermining our ability to chant well, and also look at what we can do in our life that would support better chanting. As we know, most of the 10 offenses do not directly refer to chanting, but what we do when we are not chanting. Our lifestyle, attitudes, and activities affect our consciousness. Indeed, everything we see, say, hear, smell, taste, or do affects our consciousness, and our consciousness affects our chanting. This affirmation is meant to encourage us to organize our life in a way that supports good japa. As we become more conscious of how our activities affect our japa, we can make little changes in our life to help avoid anything that might negatively impact our japa and engage in activities that support good japa. As such, this affirmation brings awareness of how our lifestyle may either be helping or harming our japa. So, as Maharaj was saying, we should make the chanting of the holy name the topmost priority in our life. The first thing that we should be doing when we wake up is to chant. We should finish our 16 rounds in one go without interruption or before doing anything else. And we should organize our life around good japa. As Bharaj was saying, that everything we see, say, hear, smell, taste, or do affects our consciousness, and that affects our japa. So we should be avoiding things that are not Krishna conscious, like Nectar of Instruction says. There is this verse. Atyahara priyashascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha lolyam cha sadbir bhaktir vinashyati. So this verse says that there are 6 activities that can spoil our devotional service. Eating more than required, collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for material things, talking unnecessarily, doing prajalpa, um, and not reading scriptures or just doing activities that are um, whimsically or you can say ritualistically, and associating with worldly minded persons, materialistic people, and being greedy for mundane achievements. So these things we should avoid, and we should sleep early, and we should not eat dinner too late so that we can wake up early and be attentive while we are doing japa. And also, when we chant, we should remember that this chanting is the most important activity that I'm going to do today. That there is nothing more important than chanting that I'm going to do today. So we should catch our mind when it starts to think of anything else. We should bring it back to our japa. Bhagavad Gita says, Yato yato nischalati manaschanchala asthiram. Tatastato niymitad atmane eva vasham nayet. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So we should catch our mind, bring it back. Tell the mind that this is the most important activity. So we should know that the name of Krishna is the most precious Chintamani jewel of creation. It is non-different from Krishna. Like we have that verse, Nam Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvan Nam Namino. The name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. Like last time we read the japa affirmation that the holy name is my greatest wealth. That's the only wealth that we can take with us when we die. We cannot take anything else. Only our spiritual credits will come with us. So there is nothing else so precious, because nothing else can give us the benediction of life of eternity and bliss in the association with someone who loves us the most, Krishna. So we have Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse. Krishna premodgama premamrita ashvadan Krishna prapti sevamrita samudare Majna. The result of chanting is that one awakens his love for Krishna and tastes transcendental bliss. Ultimately, one attains the association of Krishna and engages in his devotional service, as if immersing himself in a great ocean of love. So, we should think like that. Chanting will bring us in the association of Krishna, and then we'll be swimming in this great ocean of love. So, Radhanath Swami says that one of the greatest misfortune is if you have something great but you don't understand its value. You waste it. You will not take the full advantage of it and you will think it as ordinary. So I was reading this Art of Chanting book, and there is this nice story here about undermining the value of something that is so valuable. Can someone read starting from here?
Okay, can read.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Once a disciple, is that where you want me to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Once a disciple asked his guru for the topmost secret of bhajan. Somebody's not muted. Okay. Once a disciple asked his guru for the topmost secret of bhajan. This book is by Mahanidhi Swami. For those of you want, it is available on Amazon. And this, I think, is a Kindle. Right? You got a Kindle thing.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, yeah. It's a nice book by Mahanidhi Swami. Once a disciple asked his guru for the topmost secret of bhajan. The guru replied, the most confidential secret of bhajan is to always chant the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After leaving his guru's ashram, the disciple met some poor washermen who were chanting Hare Krishna while scrubbing clothes beside the Yamuna. He then heard some little girls chanting Hare Krishna while collecting cow dung. When the disciple hired a rickshaw, the skinny old driver chanted Hare Krishna all the way back to the ashram. Meeting his guru, the disciple expressed a doubt about the Mahamantra. Gurudev, what kind of secret have you given to me that is known to every dhobi, rickshawala, and little girl in India? Is this really the most confidential secret of bhajan? Instead of a long explanation, the guru handed the disciple a precious jewel, and said, show this jewel to the dhobi, rickshawala, and little girls, and see if they appreciate its value. The disciple then showed the priceless jewel to the illiterate washermen, but they could not detect the value of the jewel. They said they would gladly accept it and use it for beating their dirty cloth. The disciple refused to give them the gem, saying, you have to pay the proper price for it. Proper price for it. A stone or piece of wood is sufficient for beating dirty cloth. Upon seeing the jewel, the rickshawala said, since it is a little rough, I think it is just suitable for scraping off the dry skin from my feet. Are you crazy? Said the disciple as he walked on to show the village girls. Failing to recognize the true worth of the jewel, the girl said, we could use the jewel to pack our cow dung. The disciple again met with his guru and said, Gurudev, nobody wanted to pay the proper price for the jewel, nor could anyone appreciate the great value of the gem. Yes, in the same way, said the Guru, most people cannot appreciate the value of the holy name. For this reason, they are indifferent to the chanting of Hare Krishna. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is an open secret that is revealed only to the qualified. Is
Yes.
that, should I go on? Or else?
No, that's
Okay.
it. Thank you. So, no doubt there is benefit in chanting even casually or inattentively, not knowing the glories of the holy name. We have so many verses saying, even if the holy name is chanted jokingly for musical entertainment, even neglectfully, all sins are removed. Like Sanketyam Parihasyam Bastobam Helanam Evava. That verse is there. But the thing is that such chanting can destroy all the sins, but it cannot give us Krishna Prem, which is the most treasured goal of our life. Or if you are chanting for some material desires, then that's also something that is of low significance. You're not understanding what the Hare Krishna mantra can give you, and instead you're asking for material desires. So we have this verse, Bahu Janma Kare Yadi Shravana Kirtan Tabu Tana Paye Krishna Pade Prem Dhan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses while chanting, he will not get love for God. So do we think that when we are chanting or otherwise, do we think that we have something great, that we are so fortunate that we have been given this Hare Krishna mantra, the most precious jewel? Now, if that was the case, then when we are trying to chant the holy name, why is our mind wandering to so many other things, so many desires? Um, this really means that our mind is trying to deceive us to think that to fix its attention on something else will give us a greater value or greater happiness than keeping it on Krishna's name. So, the solution to this, solving this problem of inattentive chanting and not understanding the value of what we have, is hearing from scriptures. We have heard that before. We can develop love for Krishna by every day hearing about him, like his beauty, his qualities, and loving pastimes he has with his devotees. We have that Varnasta Preshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hearing regularly from the Shastras, the love of Godhead would be established within the heart very soon. And the example is Rukmini Devi. She heard repeatedly from Narad Muni about Krishna's beauty, qualities, and his pastimes, and she fell in love with Krishna. We were recently hearing about Prithu Maharaj, how he wanted the benediction of 1 million ears so um, he can hear all the Harikathas that are going on at the same time. So right now I'm giving a class, but there might be hundred thousands of classes that are going on in different ISKCON centers. How can we hear all of them? We want million ears. Um, so he had that greed and lolium to hear more and more. Similarly, when we hear the glories of the holy name again and again every day, then we can appreciate the value of the holy name, and then we can develop our love for chanting, love for Krishna, and then we can be totally attentive. We can take shelter of the holy name 100%. Otherwise, our chanting would be ritualistic or inattentive. Like these Skype calls, Premasindhu Prabhu, he daily gives us inspiration of how to chant attentively and what should be our mood while we are chanting the glories of the holy name. Like that, we hear this on a daily basis. And because of hearing this, I took on to chanting 16 rounds. Prior to joining this call, I was chanting irregularly. Some days I was chanting, some days I was not. So, hearing scriptures and the glories of the holy names daily helps us, and also the association of devotees. So we have this daily japa call in the morning. It's very easy to be regulated and start our japa at fixed time during Brahma Muhurat hours, um, when all the remaining members of the group are starting the call. And they're so enthusiastic devotees on this group that they start chanting at 3 and 3:30 a.m. in the morning. So with their association, I also started to do the same. At least I try to wake up as early as I can and start my japa. So we should take advantage of the blessing that we have, this association of devotees, and take to the chanting of high quality rounds. And this is urgent and important. So I was hearing Radhanath Swami, he was saying that two things are very important for us to become steady in our chanting of rounds attentively. One is a very mature and honest understanding of the dangers of this material world. And second is the faith that the holy name of the Lord has descended to give us supreme shelter. So the first thing Maharaj says is we should be clear on the dangers of this material world. We need to remember that this material world is not our home. In fact, it's a prison house, not meant for our enjoyment, but for our rectification, for our tendencies to be envious of Krishna and to enjoy separately from him. And Prabhupada says that this material world is like a place where people pass to. So you should finish your business and get out as soon as you can. And there is danger at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam. So you cannot be certain that whether you will see tomorrow or not, or whether the conditions tomorrow will be peaceful, your health would be good to chant. So while we are healthy and we have time now, we should not waste even a moment. Prabhupada says, instead of talking nonsense and wasting your time, save time and chant Hare Krishna and make your life successful. So that's the first thing. And then Radhanath Swami said the second thing is we need to have faith in the holy name, that the holy name is our only shelter. Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. Kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyatha. That in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. So, reading these verses from the scriptures, we can continuously remind ourselves. Today is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disappearance day. I wanted to read some words of wisdom, some quotes from him about the topics that we were discussing today, about chanting, hearing, and also preaching. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions in Shikshashtakam, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, is the only motto of the Gaudiya Math. We are put to test and trial in this world. Only those who attend the Kirtan of the devotees can succeed. Chant the Maha Mantra loudly and with attachment. This will drive away inertia, worldly evils, and pests. The Lord does not accept anything offered by those who do not chant 100,000 names of the Lord each day. So, maybe it's 64 rounds. I did not calculate. Every spot on earth where discourses on God are held is a place of pilgrimage. Life is for the glorification of topics on Hari. If that is stopped, then what need is there to carry on life? Physical illness with physical illness with Hari Bhajan is preferred to physical fitness without Hari Bhajan. Our span of life on earth is short. Our life will be crowned with success if the body wears out with constant discourses on Hari. There is no other way of associating with transcendence besides hearing. If we want to follow the path of true auspiciousness, we should give up the countless opinions of people and only hear the words of the Vedas. In every birth, one gets a father and mother, but one may not get instructions for his ultimate benefit. And some on the preaching. I wish that every selfless, tender hearted person of Gaudiya Math will be prepared to shed 200 gallons of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpus of every individual of the world. Preaching without practicing is nothing but a ritual or karmakand, ritual of karmakand. So we should practice what we are preaching. Do not give up devotional service even if there are innumerable dangers, countless insults, and endless harassment. Do not become disheartened that most people in the world do not accept the message of unalloyed devotional service. Never give up your devotional service and hearing and chanting about Krishna, which is your everything. Always chant the holy name, becoming more humble than the blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree. So I'll stop here, and we'll continue in the next class. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Very nice class. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. It's very nice
Thank
class, and
you.
please do
Thank you,
whatever you
Mataji.
shared the links or the images here in the chat window. It's going to help us a lot.
Sure, Mataji, I'll share.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a very nice class. I really enjoyed it. And the main points which we have told about japa and chanting, and it is really inspiring. And Thank you so much, Sugandha Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful class.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Anybody
you,
have any
Mataji.
questions or comments or anything? Or we can maybe stop here otherwise. I wanted to read one letter from the last letter. Prabhupada says he got from Bhakti Siddhanta, or he wrote, he last exchange between Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The last letter that Bhakti Siddhanta wrote to Prabhupada before his departure, Prabhupada had asked him, what I should do. So let's just read that, because since today is Bhakti Siddhanta's disappearance day, so I'm going to read it here. I'm going to share my screen quickly. Okay. The last exchange of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. Srila Prabhupada is saying, this is his lecture in 1969, February 7th. He's speaking in Los Angeles. Prabhupada is speaking on his spiritual master's appearance day. So those who don't know, Prabhupada's spiritual master is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was initiated in 1931, I think. 1931, before most of us were born also. So, Srila Prabhupada in 1936, just on the 13th December, I wrote him one letter. Not 13th, I think by the beginning of December 1936. So 1936, in the beginning, Prabhupada had written a letter to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. I wrote one letter to Guru Maharaj. I knew he was a little kind upon me. So I wrote that, Guru Maharaj, you have got so many disciples. I am also one of them, but they are doing direct service to you. Some of them are brahmacharis, some of them are sannyasis. But I am a householder. I cannot. So he had his family, and generally when you have family and responsibilities, you cannot devote so much time like the other ones who are renounced. So that's what he expressed. That the others are serving you so nicely, but I am not able to do. Of course, I was giving sometimes some monetary help, but I could not give any direct service. So I asked him that if there is any particular service I can do for you. So that letter was replied in 13th December, dated 13th December from Puri. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left this world in Puri, Jagannath Puri. So 13th December. So Prabhupada had returned to him in the beginning of December 1936, and 13th December was the reply he got, which was dated. And he passed away on 31st December. So only like 15 days, 18 days before his passing, just a fortnight before. So the reply was the same, as he wanted me to do this preaching work in 1922. First time when he met him, first time, that the same thing he had told him, the same instruction he gave when he was departing in 1936. So 14 years later also, same instruction. That you may try to preach whatever you have learned from me to the English knowing people in English. That will do good to you and to the people to whom you shall preach. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted this message of Lord Chaitanya to go outside India. Not only just the Indians, but because Krishna is not Indian God. Krishna is God for everybody. Krishna is not a Hindu God, although it may sometimes people say like that. He's Hindu God. And there is only one God. So that is Krishna. So he wanted this Krishna consciousness to go and outside India. And for that purpose, he had also sent his disciples to London, like that, to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. So first meeting, he got the same instruction. First time Prabhupada met his guru, he said, oh, take this message to the West. You are educated, you can speak English. Prabhupada was educated in a Scottish Church College in Calcutta, which is still there. If you go, you can go and visit. That's where he went, Scottish Church College. It was run by the Britishers at that time. And he knew English. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you know English, you can preach this message in English to the English speaking world the first time. And then the last letter also, he got the same instruction. You try to preach whatever you have learned from me to the English knowing people in English. That will do good to you and to the people to whom you shall preach. That is my instruction. So this was the last thing he said. And then other things he said is that if you ever get money, you print books. So let's see. So you print books if you get money. And Prabhupada says that's why I'm emphasizing this book distribution, because my Guru Maharaj wanted it. So those are some of the. Okay. Let's read this. Glorification to Krishna is the solution to all problems. I'll open it here. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I don't find any scarcity in this world except the scarcity of Krishna consciousness. Of course, we may say there is food scarcity, there is this scarcity, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was convinced that if people become Krishna conscious, then everything will happen, everything will come from that. So this is the real scarcity. Because we are not Krishna conscious, that's why we have all the other problems. People are suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. We should all engage in spreading the signs of Krishna for the benefit of the whole world. Signs of Krishna means God. Krishna is God. Krishna is glorified by those who are completely free from material hankerings in this world. We were reading that verse today. Sugandha quoted. Nivritta tarsher upagiyamanat bhava aushat shotra manobhiramat ka uttama shloka guna anuvadat uman virajeta vina pashugnath. Only those who have lost this material hankering, they can relish this. Of course, we have not lost, but we can relish to some degree. But those who have completely lost this material hankering, they can relish this Krishna Katha very nicely. Krishna says, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya prita chetasam vyavasayitmika buddhi samadau na vidyate. Those who are attracted to enjoyment and sense gratification, they cannot become fixed up in the service of the Lord. They cannot become fixed up. This resolute determination that I will become Krishna conscious will not happen. He says like that in that Bhagavad Gita. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya prita chetasam. Whose consciousness is distracted by bhoga and aishwarya. And that is why I can identify with that. That is why that focus on Krishna is not very strong. Because there are so many other things, distractions. So we have to, what we can do if we are distracted, then we have to keep chanting Hare Krishna, keep engaging in devotional service, keep praying to Krishna. So Krishna is glorified by those who are completely free from material hankerings in this world. Eternally liberated souls are always engaged in glorifying Krishna. And they relish it so much that they glorify Krishna tirelessly. Srila Rupa Goswami prays for getting thousands of tongues and to chant the holy names of Krishna, like Prithu Maharaj, he wants millions of years. Rupa Goswami says like that. No need of glorifying Krishna for a conditioned soul. One who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead. Which verse is this? Tasmad 215. Let's see.
Yes, it's Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Chetabayam.
So Hari is one who takes away misery. Okay. When we come to the greatness of someone, we become eager to glorify that person. Like we say, oh, you are so talented, we say so many people we meet, you know so much, there's that, so many things. Celebrities, they're glorified by so many people. They're big following. So big fan club they have. So we should be in the fan club of Krishna because Krishna is God. Instead of being in the fan club of any other person, we should be in the fan club of Krishna because Krishna has all the qualities that we glorify in this world to an unlimited degree. Similarly, when we realize the greatness of Lord Krishna by hearing from bona fide representatives of Krishna, we also develop genuine desire to glorify Krishna. Krishna is always taking care of us by giving us all facilities to live. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. Thus, a knowledgeable person will feel grateful and obliged to glorify Krishna. Oh, Krishna is giving so much to me. Modern lifestyle, materially normal, spiritually abnormal. Although Vyasadeva was fully equipped with Vedas, he was feeling incomplete. So he had all the Vedas, he had done such hard work compiling the Vedas, but then he was feeling not very satisfied. Being an eternal servant of Krishna, our constitutional position is to serve Krishna. Unless we achieve this, even though fully equipped with material achievements and facilities, we cannot be situated in the transcendently normal stage. At present, people are so much engrossed under bodily concept of life that they have forgotten the real business of human life, self-realization. Srila Prabhupada has rightly remarked, this modern civilization is a soul-killing civilization. People are killing themselves because they do not know what real life is. Okay, how big is this? Okay. Guru diagnoses the real disease. By the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master, one can understand where he is lacking and how to overcome that. Srinad Muni mercifully explained to Vyasadeva that his cause of dissatisfaction was not sufficiently broadcasting the glories of Krishna. This would cure him from gross despondency. So, all the problems we say are coming from one problem, which is we have turned away from Krishna. That's the root cause of all the problems. And until you address that problem, other problems will keep coming. Just like if you have some disease, and until you go to the root cause of the problem, if you treat the disease symptomatically, it's not going to solve. It will not going to cure because it will come back because the germs are still there. So, in the same way, if we have to realize that the root cause of my all problems is that I have turned away from Krishna. I'm trying to be independent and I'm trying to enjoy independently. We can enjoy, but we can enjoy in relation to uh, Krishna. That is called Yukta Vairagya, you dovetailing our tendency in the service of the Lord to enjoy. But when we try to do whimsically and on our own, then there's all problems. As we were saying, we do sinful activities and then all the problems come. At present, we have come far away from our normal condition of serving and glorifying Krishna due to artificially increasing unnecessary necessities in the form of modern amenities for making our lives comfortable. We've been entangled into complexities. As a result, there are so many problems. Krishna consciousness is the solution to all problems. That literature which is full of descriptions of transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is of a different creation. So there are so much literature, but that literature which is describing the glories of the Lord is of a different creation. That's why Prabhupada's books are not just like any other books. There are so many books in the market on so many subjects, but Prabhupada's books are descriptions of the transcendental glories, name, fame, pastimes, form of the Lord. It is a different creation. And Prabhupada, translated these books, Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are supposed to read them. This books full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. Which verse is this? Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed and heard, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Which verse is this? Anybody knows?
Tadvar visargo janata viplava.
Yasmin pratishlokam abadhavati Namani Yasho Anki. What is that? Namani
Namani anantasya
yeah.
yasho
Ankatani
nikitani yat shanvanti gayanti
Sayanti Granati
pranamati.
Sadhava. So that Namani uh, Anantasya Namani Anantasya Yasho Ankitani Yat. So that literature which is describing the glories of the Lord and name of the Lord, it is of a different creation. And by coming in contact with Srimad Bhagavatam, our lives will get transformed. It is meant about Tadvag Visarga Janataga Viplavo, uh, Janataga Viplavo, this sinful lives of this misdirected civilization. Prabhupada said this Bhagavatam is meant to bring about a revolution in the consciousness, the impious lives. So, a saint is always absorbed in glorifying the Supreme Lord because by broadcasting the holy name and fame of the Supreme Lord, the polluted atmosphere of the world will change. And as a result of propagating the transcendental literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, people will become sane in their trance. So many people have become vegetarians because of Prabhupada's. So many people have given up sinful activities. Why? Because of this propagation of Krishna consciousness. Okay. So Prabhupada says, solution to political problems. Again, we have a crisis before us. He's writing this in 1962. China has attacked the border of India. Therefore, there is a great need for disseminating the message of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world. By hearing the message of Bhagavatam, their hearts will be purified of contamination of bodily identification. So this body that we are identifying with, this who our whole life is being spent in trying to gratify the senses of the body or trying to make this body comfortable. But the needs of the soul, if you're not practicing devotional service, then it is neglected. You're always, but this body is not, I'm not the body. I'm putting all my, they say, I'm investing in the wrong, I'm putting my deposit in the wrong bank account. So one man, he was depositing his money and by mistake he was filling the wrong bank account and he was putting his money in that. So when he was about to retire, he went to the bank and said, give me money. The bank said, this is not your bank account. We cannot. Give me your ID. And they said, your bank account has nothing. Why? Because, so one may say, okay, well, how was he depositing in the, let's assume that he was depositing it. You can deposit in somebody's account if you want. But when you have to withdraw, then they will check, they will maybe ask you, okay, what is the, because now bank has to give money. So they want to make sure that it's going to. Then they said, oh, it's no money in the accounts. He said, I've been depositing all the time. All my life I've been depositing. They said, you're depositing in the wrong account. And that person has withdrawn it, maybe. So anyhow, so our life is like that, depositing in the wrong account means just investing in this uh, body, just working for sense gratification all the time. So that is not going to, at the end of life, then they will say, oh, they have nothing to take with you. A person who gives up the eternal for the temporary ultimately loses both, Chanakya Pandit says. A person who gives the eternal is like our own bank account, that is the soul's bank account, and temporary is like the body's bank account. So a person who gives up the eternal means he neglects the needs of the soul for the temporary things in this world, ultimately loses both. Because at the end, you can't take any temporary things and you didn't invest in your eternal. So you lost both. Due to fast, stressful lifestyle nowadays, people are becoming physiologically ill. They are victims of depression, anxiety. You see how many people are going to psychiatrists. Psychiatrists, there is a shortage of psychiatrists in America. Why? So much affluent, so much opulence. America is considered the richest nation, but still there is depression, there is anxiety. Thus, they are unable to control their emotions and commit suicides also. The reason is that every living entity wants love and affection. Krishna consciousness gives satisfaction on the platform of the soul and makes the heart peaceful due to tasting Krishna's lotus feet. And when we come in the association of devotees and we experience the loving exchange between the devotees, then the heart is satisfied. Okay, solution to economic problems. There is enough for everyone's need in this world, but not enough for one man's greed. Greed is the symptom of the mode of passion. By hearing and glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, passion and ignorance are subdued. Then one is situated in the mode of goodness and becomes free from hankering and lamentation. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha deshe. Solution to environmental problems. By exploiting the resources of nature, human has seen many disasters like tsunami, drought, cyclone, etc. But when they come to realize that earth is our mother and it takes care of us, so we are drilling into the earth, there. So all these things, unnatural things are going on. So much drilling and so much mining and going deep down and exploiting the resources of earth. And that's why also there is, this global warming and so many things are happening. The icebergs are melting, and because of all the emissions of the gases and so many things, the environment has been affected. So, and why is that affected? Because of all the so much plastic and so much is being dumped in the ocean. But when they come to realize that earth is our mother and it takes care of us by giving us so many facilities to live peacefully, by living in harmony with mother nature, we can get her blessings. So of course we are part of the problem. That's why we should not use this paper. We should use paper plates. That those plates which are biodegradable. Not Don't use plastic. This plastic is not really biodegradable. So many stores are also now conscious. They give, instead of giving this what is this, polythene plastic, they give paper. But the main problem is coming from animal slaughter. Animal slaughter is one of the main causes for environmental pollution. Social life is so much disturbed that divorce rates are increasing even in India, where Varnashram Dharma must be prominent. People are blindly following Western culture and getting degraded. Thus, by adopting Krishna consciousness, people can follow Varnashram standards and live socially healthy life. So these are all the different solutions to ethical problems, environmental problems, economical problems. Okay, the last one will just solution to ethical problems. There are so many unwanted literatures full of materialistic ideas of sense gratification. And nowadays internet has made pornography and many vulgar things accessible even to minors. By hearing most purifying pastimes of Krishna and pure devotees, our hearts can get higher taste and give up this lower taste. The most obnoxious misery of a living entity is forgetfulness of Krishna. A pure devotee therefore always tries to evoke everyone's Krishna consciousness. This is the panacea for all miseries. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has instructed us to make distinction between eternal and temporary things, conditioned and liberated soul, ultimate benefit and temporary benefit. The material world and its manifestations are temporary. By glorifying eternal name, form, beauty, pastimes, and devotees of Krishna, we can get eternal life. Okay, so stop here. Thank you very much. It's only 8:30. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Today is
Hare
fasting
Krishna.
till noon. I think. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you,
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare